Hello guys, welcome back. This is Vinchenz, and today we are looking at the Vaughn missions in the latest patch 4.2. So this is the first ship I've scanned doing a Vaughn mission. It's an MSR, and this one's got 15 SCU of gold. Not really worth our time, so we'll move on to the next one. Next we've got a Corsair, and here we're using the new scanning tool, which is showing us that we're moderate range away, so we can't quite scan it yet. At the moment we're at 6 kilometers out. We've got a 22-degree angle where we're scanning in front of us. And for this sort of medium-sized ship, you have to get within about 5k, and then it will give you a scan now. This Corsair's got 11 Taranite and a little bit of neon, so again we're not going to waste our time with that, but it's good to see a little bit of loot showing up in these ships. The next ship is an Origin 400i, and this has got a little bit of Altrusia toxin, which is not really worth it either. The next ship we've got is a Cutlass, and we managed to scan this ship from about 4 kilometers away, but it had nothing on board. Finally, a bigger cargo ship, and we've got a Carrack. We scanned this one from about 9 kilometers away, which is pretty nice. But unfortunately, that had nothing on board either. Then we checked a Constellation. They haven't had any loot on for ages, and that didn't have any loot on, unfortunately, either. And then we found a Starfarer. Starfarers generally do normally have some quite good stuff on, but this one really didn't have anything on at all. So we were getting a little bit worried, having scanned a few big cargo ships, that we weren't going to find any loot whatsoever. Then we found an 890 and we were pretty hopeful for this one, but it literally just had metals on which were worth absolutely nothing. Then found a Carrack with 232 SCU of distilled spirits. If that was something good, that would have been really nice, but unfortunately that was worthless as well. And then a 600i with nothing on at all either. Our first C2 of the patch, and we were really hopeful for this one, but it literally had scrap and 2 SCU of neon, and that definitely wasn't a good sign. Coming on to about the 4th mission, and we now find another Carrack. At first glance it didn't look that great, but as we scroll down, this one had 99 gold, which is worth about $500,000 I think, so that was pretty good. I was quite excited to see that. And it's a good amount of SCU. It's always fun having higher SCUs for the logistics. I do enjoy sort of loading up the ships and transporting it all back to base. So we were going to go for that Carrack, but we also had 2 C2s on this mission, so we were hoping one of them would have at least something decent. Main target was a C2, and we could scan this ship from just inside 10 kilometers again, so I was loving this new scanner. Straight away I could see the word Taranite, and this had 77 SCU of Taranite on, 38 SCU of neon, and a couple of gold. So that ship there definitely had some good value on board, probably about 800k or so. So eventually finding a good mission, it was time to prepare for battle. The Carrack is no easy ship to defeat in recent patches, so we knew we were going to have a fight on our hands, but thankfully the 2 other ships, the M2 and the C2, weren't going to do us too much damage. So we basically had to focus on this Carrack and hope we could get it down without taking too much damage.
Target acquired.
I got to max range, and it was time to launch as many missiles as possible. First missiles did go off into nowhere, and I did get slightly worried about that, but I think it's because I was using the Toby and I just slightly looked away onto one of my screens, and that sort of takes your lock off the ship that you're targeting, which can be a bit irritating. Luckily after that, most of my missiles hit their target, and missiles did seem to work pretty well.
Shields damaged.
Going head to head with a Carrack like that is never a good idea, and he absolutely annihilates my front shields in no time at all.
Acquired.
So we had to do a bit of tactical combat here and keep our distance and fire as many missiles as possible, and then go in with our lasers to try and get those shields down. All the missiles that I kept locked on successfully hit their target, and that was great to see because I've not seen that for a long time.
Shields damaged. Target acquired.
Did get him quite red, but he was also getting us quite red, so we had to jet away one more time, and then we'd hopefully come in for the final pass and get this guy down.
Acquired. Target acquired. Target acquired. Target acquired. Shields damaged. Shields damaged.
This Taurus is completely stopped, so we're using size 5 Galderan laser repeaters, which I don't normally like. I do like to use the M7A cannons, but I haven't yet been and bought them and outfitted my ship with them. Normally I like to steal them off other ships, but a lot of the ships that have them now have had their guns degraded to M6As, which I don't really want on my Taurus, so I'll probably earn a couple of mil and then I'll go and buy some. I'm not too keen on outfitting my ships in recent patches because they do seem to disappear every month when they release a new update. You lose all the stuff you've upgraded your ships with, and I do find that really annoying, so I don't even bother doing my quantum drives or my shield generators or anything, because just to have to redo it all every 30 days is just too much of a mission when you've got so many ships. Eventually during the fight I did get a nice tactic of doing like a roll maneuver, and it did stop all of his hits hitting me, and I managed to keep my shields up, which was pretty cool. And our main target in this mission actually didn't attack me at this point either. He just sort of hung back because we were quite far away. So sometimes when a couple of the ships are over 10k away from the main target just won't engage. So I was actually only fighting 2 out of 3 ships during this phase. Boom, and there he goes. We hadn't taken too much damage, which was good, so we could go on and fight the other ships. Next was an M2, and after about a 10-minute battle of trying to get this thing's shields down, we eventually get it down.
Enemy down.
Unfortunately, this ship had nothing good on board apart from some distilled spirits and some scrap, and hardly any neon, so we weren't going to waste our time with that one. And before we moved on to the main target, as it still wasn't engaging us, we quickly nipped down to the Carrack and grabbed the gold off there. Fortunately with the Carrack, getting containers off this ship is an absolute nightmare. For some reason they just don't fit through the door, and they're always sort of angled at a way where you can't just pull them out easily. So it did take me about 15 minutes to get these containers off. I ended up having to go around the other side and allowing myself to sort of maneuver them a little bit and pull them off the ship. But when you do get on this other side, there is like an annoying beam coming down from the top platform that does block some of the containers a lot of the time. And if the particular cargo bay is full, then that beam coming down from the platform above can be an absolute nightmare. So I definitely think they need to rework this ship a little bit to be able to get the containers off, because it's either just not wide enough, or having that beam in there just doesn't allow you to maneuver the containers to be able to pull them out. Anyway, eventually we get the gold off and we get the Taurus loaded up, and then we moved straight onto the C2, which was the main target, and this one did have some big containers of Terranite on there. As I always say with the Taurus, these big containers can be a little bit annoying because you can only fit 2 of these on the ship, and that meant I had to drop some of the gold and leave it behind. It would be great if you could just double stack these bigger containers, and maybe when they do the rework of the Taurus, I think this is something they should be able to do. You never really use the whole 174 SCU just because of the restrictions in the cargo elevator and how it can handle big containers. Anyway, eventually we get it fully loaded. We had to leave a few of the gold containers behind, but the Taranite was more valuable, so we decided to prioritize that. Arriving safely back at Grim Hex, it was time to unload and see how much money we were going to make.
Landing complete.
Loading up the last container. We did have quite a good haul. You can see there that it pretty much filled up my cargo elevator, so I was quite happy to see that the Vaughn missions are still giving some good loot. I've not seen any super valuable loot like Weevil eggs or Quantanium recently, but hopefully they will start appearing again sometime soon. So we had 37 SCU of gold for just over 200k. We had 6 SCU of Neon, which actually sold for once, which was pretty cool, for nearly 50k. And then our 77 Taranite sold for 710k. So all in all, we made just under 1 million credits in about an hour doing Vaughn missions. So that's it, guys. I hope that helps you out with how to earn some money doing the Vaughn missions. I still do think they're one of the most lucrative missions in the game. I do them all the time. I love the sort of battle and then the logistics of it. And as you can see, it does pay off doing Vaughn missions. So thank you for watching, hope you liked the video. Please like and subscribe to support the channel, and until next time, take it easy.